Sergeant McGovern, story number 1. How we met. Once upon a time in December of 1966, I arrived at Camp Hovey, Korea to be assigned to the weapons platoon, 3rd Battalion, 32nd Infantry of the 7th Infantry Division. Our first night staying in our frozen Quonset hut hooch, a cylindrical corrugated hunk of metal set over a frozen cement slab, were about 20 bunk beds. On our first night, there were only 5 of those 20 bunk beds in use. The latrine had no heat and a shower with only cold, running water. During our frozen first week, we went on a few work details outside, but didn't start our infantry and mortar training until January 1st, 1967, also known as New Year's Day. The company first sergeant named Luke McGovern, a tall, well-built Irishman whose name means summer. On this sunny, breezy New Year's Day in Korea, it was hardly summer. The temperature was below 0. We were sent out on a field march that day. We were huffing and puffing, walking through the village of Tokori and heading out through the mountains, valleys, and frozen rice paddies, and finally we were told to sit on a frozen rice paddy and break out the canteen cups. A 3/4-ton Army truck arrived with some powdered eggs, burnt toast, and most importantly, hot coffee. Me, Pagliano, and Pusinelli, who were all in my AIT unit back at Fort Dix, New Jersey, took our seats on top of the snow sitting on the frozen rice paddy. I got up first from the frozen rice paddy to eat and found my fatigue pants were already sticking to the ground. I was shivering like a mother, but at least by moving around a little, my body was thawing out a bit. As I stood in line with my outstretched canteen cup ready for the thick hot brew, I observed Sergeant McGovern guarding the coffee and supervising the line. I had never had even a sip of coffee in my entire life up to that moment. I was 19 years old, and even in basic and AIT training, I opted out of coffee and instead drank powdered milk. But today I was practically frozen, and the sight of the steam rising out of our metal canteen cups was enough for me to drink it, even if it tasted like battery acid. I got my cup filled by the cook and stood by the truck, just in case I would be offered seconds. The line was getting shorter, and just 3 guys were ahead of me. Each would enjoy their first battle with Sergeant Luke McGovern. Soldier number 1 walks up to the truck, and a cook pours his ladle into the cold, trembling canteen cup. As the cook was pouring the hot semi-liquid concoction into the cup, I heard the soldier ask, "Do you have any cream or sugar?" Immediately, Luke's face turned a pinkish color, and he said, "Drink the mother blanker black like blankin' John Wayne." Luke used a substitute word for blank, blankin', and blanker. The soldier took his liquid and huffed off. McGovern said a few more choice words. The soldier number 1 then stumbled off to his corner of the frozen rice paddy. McGovern peeked at me out of a corner of his eye. Soldier number 2, who was engaged with someone else at the time, was next to get his hot coffee. McGovern shouted, "Get up here and get your blankin' coffee. You're holding up the blankin' line." Soldier number 2 stood in front of the cook, and once again the cook dipped his ladle into his savory sauce and poured hot liquid into a cold metal cup. Soldier 2 asked the cook, "Do you have any cream or sugar?" Sergeant McGovern's face now was an orange in color. He immediately said, "Drink the mother blanker black just like Mother Blankin' John Mother Blankin' Wayne." Soldier number 2 limped off the playing field and went off to his little snow patch hideaway in another corner of the frozen rice paddy. The sergeant glanced over to me and saw that now I was trying to suppress a laugh, but my body was vibrating uncontrollably from the sergeant's words, and the below zero temperatures, taking my body on a wild ride. Soldier number 3 walked up to the cook. Without a word, the cook pours the hot coffee into the frosty canteen cup. Yes, soldier number 3 had the nerve to turn his body away from Sergeant McGovern and directly face the cook and ask in a meek whisper, "Do you have any cream or sugar?" Instead of looking directly at soldier number 3, Sergeant Luke McGovern looked directly at me and said just 2 words, "John Wayne." That's when I really lost it. My legs were like noodles and buckled from under me, sending me and my hot brew tumbling into the snow. Soldier number 3 crawled off to another corner of the frozen rice paddy. McGovern's face was beet red. That was my first meeting with the man, Sergeant Luke McGovern, and the day this 19-year-old became a man by drinking his first cup of coffee. It was a very happy new year for me on a frozen rice paddy near Tokori, Korea on January 1st, New Year's Day, 1967. My next encounter with Sergeant McGovern comes next in Story 2.